Hello friends and foes and all you beautiful people! Today we are back with a new season of the EWT. This is season 3 and I have not played Draft League for a while. We're finally back, and last season of EWT we made it to finals, so I feel like this time we have to win it. We're going all in, and for that we need a great team, which is why we're here. Today we'll be going over what I picked and a little bit about why I picked it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So before we actually jump into it, if you're not familiar with drafting and how it works and all that, there'll be a very short description down in the description below. Description, yes, we like it. Just so you can kind of get an gist of what it is, but anyone else doesn't have to listen to it. But now I'm taking as much time talking about it being there that I might as well just have explained it. But no, I'm going to stick to it. So, I had pick number 12 out of 16 coaches, and you should check those out too, follow along, yes. But it was a pretty bad pick, and I did not have any plans. I was just looking at what was there for me, and I had 2 picks in mind when we finally got around to me. And one of them was Victini, and the other one was Celesteela. And I made my... I tried using both, love them both. I made my decision based on the fact that I am rusty as heck. So I need to be able to just, click, plug and play, and it can just do the work for me. So I went with Victini. To start out with, Victini very, very good. Has such a strong move in V-Create, and just nice typing. Boost means that you can't lose health, obviously, if it's Stealth Rocks. And just Scarf Off Bandit. V-Create does add buttload to almost anything. So that's quite nice. And again, as for why I took this over Celesteela, I feel like Celesteela can actually be better. But to make Celesteela actually be better, you need to be very, very good at building with Celesteela. And again, because I'm rusty, I was not feeling it. But then we get into round 2. And obviously we're down at the bottom of the picks, so there wasn't a lot of picks left. And the pick before me, Celesteela, was actually still there. And the coach that had to pick before me, he was taking a long time making his decision. So I was like, okay, he's not going to pick Celesteela. If he was going to pick Celesteela, why wait for such a long time?
2,000 years later.
And he ended up picking Celesteela. So that's how well that went. Right before me, that was great. And I had to look into a little bit, what I otherwise wanted for Steel types. And I did decide on one, and I did not draft it because often it does not actually get drafted. So I was like, I can wait to round 3 to take this thing. So instead, I took a Zapdos, a nice ground immunity to pair with the Victini. We have, obviously, what's it called? Switch Initiative. U-turn, Volt Switch. Very nice. Zapdos is a very good Pokemon, has a nice special attack, good defenses, just overall a solid Pokemon, and it's quite nice. We love ourselves it. Obviously, both weak to rocks and not always want to wear boots. So we have to keep that in mind. We need to get some removers at some point, and we'll get around to that, but something happened overnight. I went to bed after picking Zapdos, and oh, this is sad. For some reason, people began in the Discord chat to talk about Katana, and it was gone. And for some reason, they had to remind themselves that, oh wait, Katana exists, Katana can be good, and bam, Katana's gone. So, bye-bye plan. That was not going to happen. I was going for UBL Season 2 call, just make a picture of being a Zapdos instead. But no, that was not to happen. And this is a trend that I did throughout this whole draft. The 2 Steel types that I wanted, they were gone. Both the Ultra Beasts, I wanted those 2, didn't get any of them. So instead of picking a Steel type, I was like, nah, I can't deal with it. I will just pick something that that brings joy to my heart every time I have it, and I cannot have a draft without it. So I picked Harold, our beautiful Vaporeon, and made a mortal enemy in doing it, and that was very nice. I've never made a mortal enemy before, so yeah, Harold, he's so good. And he can be a defensive beast, but every once in a while, he can spice it up and be fabulous with his scarves or his beautiful specs, whatever he wishes to be, because he has a very high special attack, and obviously good build, nice moves. Flip turns to do damage now when we do Switch Initiative, that's great too. So it just has so many options. I love Harold. He's such a beautiful, beautiful thing.
That is so fetch.
So after Harold, things began to go severely downhill.
I'm king of the world! Woohoo! Woohoo!
Yeah, something happened that I was not aware of. I wanted to draft Silvally. I love Silvally. Silvally is actually like literally my favorite Pokemon. You know, the only thing that competes just a little bit is Glastrier. So I realized something. I was my pick was between Under the Radar and 6 feet Hex. Or Foot. I will come feet. He has 2 feet, so therefore his feet. It's fine. And we draft and it pops up in Discord with what we drafted. And I went in after I'd gotten Harold to obviously type out Silvally on the webpage where we do the drafting. And it did not pop up. It popped up with a silicone and I was like, no, wait, there's a mistake. Something went wrong. What is happening? And I went into the Discord and I scrolled up and someone had drafted Silvally. So it just didn't pop up with a little image for it, and therefore I didn't notice it. So it was actually picked right before I picked Harold. And my whole, you know, world just broke apart.
I am a strong woman. Hear me smash.
And it was very sad. And my assistant coach, our dear Vapsis, he passed out for like 16 hours.
But you know what I did instead? I took a nap.
So, being under pressure, having to make a decision, I did what I did with the katana. I said, okay, screw it, I'm not gonna deal with it, and I'm just gonna pick something that I like and, you know, just roll with it. So I picked Lycanroc-Dusk. And, okay, one thing I want to say about Lycanroc-Dusk. People are suddenly beginning to talk about, oh, Lycanroc-Dusk is so good now that it has more coverage. I mean, it has close combat. It didn't have that before. I think literally everything else is more or less the same. I used it in my very first league. Lycanroc-Dusk has always been good. Just because you didn't realize it did not mean it wasn't good. It was always good. Finished. Over. Accelerock, super good. I didn't want to face it, so therefore I took it, and I love him, and he's a great little thing. So I'm glad to have Lycanroc-Dusk back on the team. And then for the next. You know, there was still the whole debacle about getting a steel type. It was not going well. I was beginning to, you know, look at them and I was like, okay, what options do I have? Because obviously there are a lot of steel psychic types. I didn't really want another psychic type. Especially not for my steel type. Nah, not when we have Victini. I know Victini is more fire type than the psychic type, but still, I wasn't really feeling it. So I was looking at like Ferrothorn and Registeel as options, and they both went.
Bye. No!
So again, I said, screw steel types, I'm not dealing with this. Instead,
I took a nap.
You know, I'm gonna get my dark types because steel, dark, and ground and poison is something I'm incredibly bad at drafting, so gotta pick them while they're still there. And we're getting something that I've never tried using before. We're getting a Scrafty, who's a thick little bugger, you know, and Intimidate is super nice, and obviously it has Dragon Dance too, so that's nice. It's a good Pokemon, you know. I think I have a theory that it's decent, and we could have done a lot worse. Obviously, it's not the most offensive thing in the world, but
Take me outside, how about that?
you know, stab knockoff is always nice. And Drain Punch, thickness, you know, it has options, and you know, it just takes that little mark of dark types, which we do like to cover. So for the 6th pick, this is where I began looking at grass types because screw steel types, and this is going to sound so silly. We had kind of settled on actually getting Goldgeist. Was Frisk. Very nice to get Frisk. And Will Wispen's, you know, it was actually quite, it was looking very nice and very affordable and absolutely lovely. And you know what happened? It got taken. Literally like a couple picks before me, so that was not that was not optimal. And I got very sad, so instead I took the second best Frisk that we have in the game and got myself an Oivan. It's another defog, so Zapdos doesn't always have to run defog. Obviously, dual birds. But hear me out. Hot take, I don't think ground is the best offensive type in the game. Ground moves is not, it's not all that. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, best moves, best move type, offensively are flying and ice. Don't add me, don't do anything. This is not an opinion. This is facts. You can't argue with it. I don't care. It's fine. But Boots is very good. We still have Frisk. That's very nice. And a very important thing is that we have a very high speed tier now. So that's also nice. We get a little more speed. It's nice to get more than the 110 from a cute little Lycanroc. So that's quite nice. And I have never used Neuven. I've talked about wanting to use it a lot. And obviously, it had to happen when I also have a Zapdos on the team. I mean, things just happen sometimes and you just gotta roll with them. And rolling I did. So at this point, the whole steel type situation is beginning to look kind of tough. Basically almost everything that isn't like Togedemaru or something else, some other trash is gone. And I have to pick it, there's nothing to do, and I also don't have a ground type, and I was also struggling. I mean, there's a lot of good ground types. But they were also beginning to go. Like, Mustel had been taken, and that made me a little sad little bugger, and you know, it's just, oh yeah. So I took the big snake.
It's between you and me and my giant snake!
Who can absolutely get destroyed by a grass knot, but well, we do not talk about that around these parts. We kind of ignore that. But it covers two of the things that we needed to get. And obviously we get Sawsbucks on the team other than Lycanroc. Though, to be real, how often am I going to click Sawsbucks? In reality? Maybe I'll take my opponents by surprise and do it all the freaking time. You know, you never know. Maybe I should spruce up a bit. I'll just, you know, be very hazard heavy. But no, we have the Steelix. It's very good. Has a decent attack. A very good defense, obviously. Special defense, not that great. But with Wish Support, you know, it becomes a little nice. And that's also the same for Scrafty, other than, you know, Scrafty obviously. A Strain Punch, you know, Wish Support from Vaporeon is quite useful too. So now, something happened. I got a cute little message popping into Discord.
So make sure that... Oh, hold on, let's read.
Right after I had picked Steelix. From the coach right after me. Whether or not I was planning on grabbing Aromatisse as a fairy type. I did notice that it came right after I picked. And I was. Yes. And we got into a little bit of a debacle there. And he ended up saying, take Alchemy. And it threw my whole plan. And said he ended up taking Aromatisse. Just like drilling a little hole into my heart there and just see it all go away because nothing had gone wrong obviously this far in the draft at all. With like literally almost all my picks. It's super fine. And I decided to not deal with it. Actually I did. Because I had to plan out the rest of my 4 moves. Basically based around what grass type I wanted, what ground poison type I wanted, and what fairy I wanted. And there wasn't really a lot left. There was either the really cheap fairies, because Alchemy is not an option. I love Alchemy and doubles, such great support Pokemon. Singles? No. No, I'm sorry. If you're an Alchemy lover, it's okay. You could probably get some help. But, nonetheless, no, I was not feeling it. So there was like the very low tier ones, like Togetic. Wigglytuff was still there. Which was probably honestly the better lower tier of them. There was also still Clefairy. Yeah, then there were the higher tier ones, like there was Hatterene and there was Weezing. And obviously, you know, it was kind of between, okay, do I take Wigglytuff or do I take one of these 2 high tier ones? And what ground and poison do I mix with it if I take the ones that aren't Weezing? And if I take Weezing, what grass type do I take with this team instead? So we can get a solid fire water grass core, because at the end, I actually do think we got to the absolute best result that we possibly could. And I have Pokemon that I've never used before in Draft League. He's joining the squad, and that is Fun Guy, our cute little Among Us. Which honestly, I'm looking forward to bringing. Obviously, can't click Spore as much as I want, you know, because Draft League players are so sensitive compared to VGC. They don't want all the things to go to sleep. Fair, honestly. Honestly, that's fair. But nonetheless, we have Among Us, we have a generator. It's just like it's a little silly. Like, it's not super offensive, but it can actually still do damage while being bulky and while healing every time it swaps out. You know, that's pretty great. And I'm excited to use this little bugger, honestly. And this also like gave the power for the rest of the draft. And luckily, no more snipes. We're all out of the snipe. Okay, there was one that was kind of a snipe because I was looking at normal types. And one of those that I was looking at was Buffalon. which I think wasn't a point more expensive than the normal type I ended with. But that would just, you know, swap out how many points I had for the next 2 picks. The first, which is Glaceon, which I will spoil. I have already dropped at this point. I've dropped it for Frostmoth instead. They're the same amount of points. I love Glaceon, but it literally does the same thing that Vaporeon does, other than having Freeze Dry to hit water types. So instead, you know, I have swapped it over to Frostmoth. So we also have Defog, we can Quiver Dance, U-turn, whatever it is, and have a very high special defense. Obviously, Glaceon actually does have a very good physical defense, but we all know Ice typing is horrible defensively. So it's not really that useful. The only thing it would really add is just that Vaporeon doesn't have to run the support moves necessarily. Glaceon would be able to do some of them instead. But yeah, Glaceon is not gonna hit the field, I'm sorry to say. We have a Frostmoth instead, so that's what we're working with. The next, the last type that I took from someone else, I took a little double, which I've never used, and I'm going to name him Kelly because, for no reason in particular, this thing, again, not used it. It doesn't have a lot of coverage. It literally has like one move that it can run. But if you pull this off, if your opponent does not have a ghost type or a fighting type to destroy poor Double's face, and you get this pulled off, like Cotton Guard, Body Press, a +6, gonna do a lot of damage, and you have 88 base speed, so you're not that slow. You know, it could actually come, and it could actually do work if our opponent doesn't respect it. So I'm digging that, which obviously leaves, you can already see, we from the fairy types that I mentioned and the fact that we have a good amount of points left, I end up going with Hatterene as a fairy type. Because obviously it couldn't be Weezing because I picked Amoonguss instead, and honestly at this point I don't really regret it. Because Amoonguss, I think we're gonna like Amoonguss. Amoonguss might even be the MVP. If Amoonguss ends up with more kills than Victina, I'm going to laugh. Honestly. We have Hatterene. Now, why Hatterene? Magic Bounce? Quite nice because, okay, we have our Frostmoth too, but all of my defoggers are weak to rocks. So being able to discourage it just a little bit with having Magic Bounce, that's quite nice. And obviously Hatterene itself is just so good, and it's one of those Pokemon that can set up Trick Room and win for itself. The only sad part is obviously still no Moonblast. No Moonblast, very sad. But I think like it's still the best option we had under the circumstances that we just in general had in this draft. That was very stressful. So nonetheless, this is a team. I think we've got a solid squad, except for Glaceon, obviously, it's the Frostmoth, you know. But otherwise, yeah, that's a squad. I'm excited to play. I think we actually ended up with, all things considered, very solid team, so I'm excited to play it. And the first week will be up in a week. First week in a week. That's great. Yes. So, how do you think the season will go? I'm gonna say, I think we're gonna be champions this season. Yeah. Hot take. Don't quote me on it when it goes absolutely abysmal. But nonetheless, you know, So, give me your thoughts on how this is gonna go. And without further ado, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, keep it cool. Bye.